Bonjour, hi, Liber.
Bonjour, hi, Ame, and hello, everybody. Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays, everyone, and thank you for being here again on Open Break Podcast. Today, we're at the ninth episode, one of the last ones of the year. So today we have something special again for you.
Special subject, special guest. We're so happy because today we're going to discuss about one branch of the ecosystem that we have been discussing the whole season. So something that is very important, especially here in Montreal, because in Montreal we love to compete.
Oh, yes.
So today we're talking about competition, world competition specifically because all local competitions are influenced by, world championships. So to do so,
we have a special person today. One of the world most respected professional salsa dancers and judge. We're having Paulina Posadas,
Yay.
our friend and coach as well. And she has a lot of stuff, a lot of things to tell you guys.
So much knowledge.
And we
very
cannot wait to start this episode. So let's start right now.
See ya. Hello, hello.
Hola,
Welcome.
Paulina. So today we're going to welcome our dear friend and coach,
Yay.
Paulina Posadas. Welcome to Open Break.
We are so thankful because Paulina is such a huge dancer, very, very renowned in the salsa community.
And very special for us too.
Especially
Yeah, me too.
special for us.
Actually, I think you are one of the first people I met in Canada, so I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be with you today too.
We're happy to have you today for our episode 9, who is very charged. It's a special subject. We're going to talk about dance competition in the Latin dance community. And that's why we took you
A special guest.
because you did so many salsa championships during all these years, especially with David Cepeda, but you also did other championships. So let's go to when you started.
Yeah.
So we want to know everything.
It's
So
a lot. Actually, I started dancing when I was 14, but I competed the first time when I was 17.
Okay.
And then since then, I kept going until for 12, 15 years competition. It was a long time of competition. So yeah, in Mexico, and then I started going around the world. But it was a long time process and very hard, very difficult.
And who was your first partner?
My first partner, actually, it was my teacher.
Ah.
It was the... No, actually, I'm wrong. I need to go back. Because my first partner was one of my teammates in Morelia. He was called Ricardo. And we did a national competition. And we were still learning how to dance salsa. That was my first competition. And we won, but honestly, I was completely lost. I didn't know what I was doing. That was my first competition. And then I went a bit more serious with my teacher in Mexico, Carlos Carmona. And that was a national competition.
Okay. Which one?
It was Acapulco, Salsa
Okay.
Congress. And I was panicking because imagine I was dancing next to my teacher. So
And it was pro, or it was pro am at that time?
at that time, there was no divisions.
Just like couple.
Just competition. Whoever wants to go, everybody against each other.
Wow. So
So-
open division.
Open division.
Open division. And yeah, so we won. But I think it was nice and easier because I was next to my teacher. But yeah, I was very, very beginner.
But you liked it clearly because then after that competition one after the other.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
And after that, you met David?
After that, no, I actually I started competing with my brother. with Max Posadas.
Ooh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and we did a lot of competitions. It went well, just in Mexico.
Okay.
And with the time, I wanted, because my brother was not a full-time dancer. I was studying, but I had more time, of course. So I decided to find a new partner, and I met Juan Pedro Navarro. He's a very good, famous dancer in Mexico, a good friend of me too. We did a couple competitions, and we started winning also in the national level.
Wow. So no international yet.
No, not yet. Then after that, I hope I don't miss anybody. But I did many projects, but not competitions with many people. I also did a one competition in United States and Canada with Israel Vladimir from Monterrey. And then after that, let me see. Yes, after that I went with David Cepeda. Which I met in Canada.
Yeah.
At that competition where I went with the other guy.
Is it in Calgary? Calgary or Vancouver?
Edmonton.
Edmonton.
Okay.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There I met also Edson and
Yes,
Dominique.
he mentioned that. Yes.
Yeah, Edson, when he was here, he said that
That's
he was
where he
there
met.
when you and David met. So
And
yeah,
became
that's so
friends.
special.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Of course, like we talked a little bit more about David because you guys were like the first champions from Montreal, from like living in Montreal, that won the Onto division especially. And I think you won several times with David after that.
Yeah, like World Championships, we won 6 times. We won a couple more in second and third. I don't count those. But yeah, the first place, we won 6 times World Championships.
Wow.
Yes. It was sounds easy, but it wasn't easy. Many
believe
years
you.
of work.
Yeah, we saw you work a lot with David through the years because we had the chance to be with you here in Montreal and see you practicing, I don't know how many hours.
And we mentioned it, I think, in the episode 0 that at some point you were living still in Mexico and he was living here in Montreal. So you guys met in Mexico, in Montreal to practice. And we were like, oh my God, that's dedication. It's crazy.
We never live in the same city. Never. So it was until I moved to Canada. But I will have to always travel 7 hours plus or 15 hours by bus to go and practice with him and spend there like a week and just practice every day or the other way around.
Yeah.
And then when he was living here, I would come to Canada to practice. That's what many people thought I was living here, but no, I was just here to practice. It was crazy.
That's true.
Now that I think about it, it's crazy.
It is a bit, but it worked.
It worked.
Awesome. And then after that, you came to Montreal.
Yeah, I came to Montreal. Well, I actually spent maybe I would say 5 years in and out of Montreal, not living here. But like I said, I was here most of the time practicing. Around, I would say per day minimum, 6 hours. And then plus extra training of, body technique, training, gym, ballet, whatever I could get whenever there was a close competition.
And also, I remember when you guys were here, you did the first David and Paulina team.
Yes.
You did 2 teams.
Our favorite team. My favorite team.
Because we were...
we got
her.
so lucky.
We were so lucky we got in this team. We did the auditions like everybody, and we were so happy to be part of the semi-pro.
Semi-pro. I think there was amateur and semi-pro, or like advanced, I guess.
We had the 2 levels.
Yeah.
And we were really
it was
lucky.
so fun,
much fun.
Really, because we had Manuel, Marlene,
Erson,
you
Tracy.
two, Tracy.
That's pretty
I
much
don't
it.
know.
We were a small
Many
team. It was
people.
like four
Yeah.
couples. There was people that left eventually, but for us, it's of course it's a great experience because we actually got trained by people that are very strict, very like they really know
We
the
were very
technique. It was a very very interesting,
But in a
experience.
good way, you know. I
Exactly.
think this experience just made me grow so much as a dancer. And I said it in episode 0. We were just amateurs, and then we
Oh, thank
we
you.
came. No, it was thanks to you because
you.
you had so much experience and you were so just giving us all your experience, and it was
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
We
no?
really saw the potential in all of you guys, so actually we wanted you to go push each other. But it's so funny that we never got to name the team, and it was. Yeah, I had to say it. I named the team inside.
Yes.
I said,
Oh, we said it in episode 0.
yeah, we talked about it because we say, "Oh, guys, you're so lazy. Guys, you're so lazy. You're perezosos." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we are the perezosos
Yeah.
team."
We
David
love that
was so
name.
mad.
We love
we,
that
we
name.
still,
But
we
you know,
still love that name.
I saw the videos recently, and we were called Essence. Essence, because we perform at MSC, and I saw the name. You
That
know,
was
we
their
had
name?
Yeah, we had to give a name. And
Original
it was,
name, but
Essence team.
we never
No,
really felt
Like I feel
essence.
perezoso.
it was the perezosos team.
Which also was a very, like, let's say humbling experience, right? But because we had like a type of dancing journey, and at that point that's when we realized, okay, if you want to be someone, if you want to be a champion, if you want to like be a professional, that's the type of dancing training that you need to do. So like we said it in episode 0, we had no trouble being called perezosos because it just like humbled us, and
And we thought we trained hard,
yeah.
but it wasn't enough
It wasn't
to
enough.
what like eventually we wanted to achieve. So that's how we measure now the hard work.
A lot of value that come from that.
Yeah.
And it's also a reason why we really wanted Paulina to come today, because this conversation is very important. I think it might even create, some debate maybe for some people listening to this episode. So we're gonna dive into our first section. So before we start the discussion, because we need to set the stage a little bit, because we talk a lot about World Championship, but even us, we realize that we can mix some of them, and sometimes we talk about World Champion, but people don't know, okay, but World Champion, what does it mean? Like, is there one World Championship in salsa and bachata? People don't really know the
Exactly. It's not
details.
like soccer or like gymnastics, Olympics. There's not only one, there's many.
It should be one, by the way. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't. Well, we need to find a way to help the community, right? Because salsa is, Latin dancers are so different, multicultural, and it's hard to put everybody in one team.
Yeah.
I understand
One
completely, but we need to find still. It's a fight for many years. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Definitely.
So let's dive in the world of the championships. Let's start with salsa because everything started with salsa. Disclaimer, there was bachata, but there wasn't a competition.
There was
like
no competition. It was
Yeah.
very focused salsa. I think for the level that they were looking for at competition, so complexity, bachata wasn't there yet, but
Not
we
yet.
can follow the evolution through the
course.
championships that
so
were created.
you can correct us anytime.
And
so
big
if I
disclaimer
know,
also,
yeah.
if you know, but we realize that there's not a lot of documentation about all of
Yes.
this. So we did our best to gather the information. So don't be shy if we do a mistake. You can comment below.
comment
and we will
on YouTube, on
correct.
Spotify, on Instagram. So you can just say, oh, but I was there when this happened, or you can correct us the date. So no problem. So what we saw on our research is that the biggest salsa competition started in 1995 in Los Angeles, California. And it was in a club called Mayan
Mayan Club.
Club.
Yeah.
And the competition was the Mayan World
Yes.
Salsa competition. So apparently it was just in a club and there was so many people there.
This is the competition that I saw many years. You know, when you start dancing, you have to have a point of reference.
Yes.
And I always saw the Vasquez. We saw Alian Ramirez.
Yes.
We saw, and I don't have the names right
Liz
now in
Lira,
my
I
head.
think.
Liz Lira with what
Alex
is
da
the
Silva
name?
was dancing
Alex
too.
da Silva was dancing with Alian.
Yes.
And what is his name? I don't remember.
But so many like
so many
dancers,
good dancers.
especially from LA. I think it was really focused LA style. It was very like
On one.
exactly on one. And I remember when So You Think and Then started, and Alex da Silva was an actual choreographer. I think with Alien.
With Alian.
With Alien, and that's how we found Mayan salsa competition, because like it was one of the only like salsa celebrity, let's say,
Yeah.
because it was on
And it
TV.
was special. We're gonna put some videos, but there was people all around. It was a club,
Yes,
so
it's
it was
circular a
yeah,
bit,
it was
right?
kind of a
Different
circular.
vibe.
It's a different vibe than
Yes.
what we have now. So there was judges. I don't have any information about the judges at that time, but
But it's starting to look like the system that we have now.
Exactly.
So judge
So-
panel, competition, couples, etc.
exactly. So that's why one of the first one. It started from 1995 to 2009,
what
around
we
that
found.
years. But at the same time, in around 2002, there was one in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico
Salsa
Salsa
Open.
Open, which you participated a few years
Yes,
later.
that's amazing.
Honestly, for me, I have to say this competition was the most important in my career, because the format that they have in the competition is so scary, like for us.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to say something about it, but we at some point in the final we need to dance in live music.
Yes, I remember. That's scary.
And
I remember practice-
improvising.
exactly, and I
Improvising.
remember like it was yesterday. You and David, we were putting any music, like any music,
Choose
and
everything.
you had to improvise.
So it wasn't only like hit competition. There was also tricks, I remember. So you had like a set of tricks already planned with David, and you had to like fit in at some
We
place.
tried to match the musicality.
Like,
It was so complicated, right? Because nobody's gonna tell you the accent is coming. You have to do a lift. It was very hard.
Did
And
you
you
have like
had,
a set of music before? Like, you know that it's part of like 10 songs, or it was like
We
a
didn't
random
have
song?
any list of music. We just we made our list, but they don't give us anything. It's just
Okay, it's not like
random.
Salsa Nama. Now they put like 30 songs, and they pick one of the 30 songs. In Puerto Rico, it was live,
It was live,
and they could choose
crazy.
any song.
and like plus because that happened to us, they choose a song that we knew, but the musician decides to change the music because they feel it. You know, it's a live music,
Yeah,
so they
it's
don't want to do ta ta. They want to do ta 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 ta, and then like, oh, okay, you did ta ta.
That's amazing. Because it just brings back to the root, which is the music. So it's like a different challenge. I can understand why it's like your biggest accomplishment.
Yeah, and honestly, I have to say this too. It's the only competition that I'm going upstairs, and before stepping into, I was like, no,
Freaking out.
no. I went back like, I can do this. Yeah, it's the only one. I was panicking.
We were watching. It was
On
live
YouTube.
too. Yeah,
On
it was
YouTube.
live. One of the first competitions actually to be put on live.
Broadcast.
But we feel you, and honestly,
Yeah,
props. A lot of respect, because I don't think there's many like Canadian dancers that went to that competition.
I don't think anyone.
I know
No.
that Sonia and Maurice dance over there, and I think they
In
did
Puerto Rico.
They were in
they
that
did
Congress.
open, I think, in 2006, I think. But after that, as a competitor, of course, you represent also Mexico. So we are saying Montreal, but you represent also Mexico at the same time. We were proud of both cities. But yes, I remember it was mainly people from Latin America that going there, or back
big
then,
names.
Yeah,
Big names.
Big names that
Yes.
still dance nowadays. And
very important. So that's why we really wanted to mention those, because even though it doesn't really exist anymore, well,
it
read
kind of exists
it kind of
now.
exists now in
But
Argentina.
no,
We
people
saw.
stop
Yeah,
going into the competition.
exactly. Because when it moved to Argentina in
I
2015,
didn't know. Okay.
yeah, the Salsa Open moved. So
That's what the channel says. Well,
Yeah.
it switched from Puerto Rico to Argentina.
Okay.
so that's where
I think and
became
less
less
people
popular.
less people go, but I think there's good dancers that still like participate. But it seems more like a local competition than a world competition that we know of now. So that goes to the next World Salsa Championship.
and I think is one of the main that just started all the machine that we know
I think
now.
so. The Latin Cup, no?
The World Salsa,
Salsa
Championship.
Oh, it was called before like that.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was that specific name because the names and the logo, and we'll put it in the video version because it will help to not be confused. Because there's also like, all of this- copyrights.
A
Thank
lot.
you. Exactly. So it's very important, the name and the logo. But in 2005, the first World Salsa Championship started, and Edson actually mentioned it in episode 1. That was the actual first broadcast salsa championship. It was even broadcast on ESPN, and I think that was like the main thing that, I don't know, it just made
Trigger.
salsa more serious. Exactly.
I think so too.
ESPN is the channel where we see sports. So to see like that event broadcast on TV, on that stage,
ESPN.
on
on
ESPN.
ESPN with people saying, "Oh, this,
There was
the
comments.
trick, it was amazing."
It's so entertaining, and apparently at that time it wasn't really known back then, and after a few years people heard about it and start watching. It actually, and the last World Salsa Championship was in 2009, even though in 2008 I think it was canceled because I think it was pretty hard to keep it going because of finance issues.
Yeah, let's say that only pros could go to
Yeah,
that
that's very
competition.
important. It was only pro competition. It's very different from what we know
props
now.
to our Montrealers that went to that competition.
Marie Jose and Roberto.
Yeah, Maria
They
Jose,
won.
Roberto.
Yes.
Saint-Tropez participated too.
Saint-Tropez,
They won third
exactly.
place the first year as a salsa team.
Yeah, so Corinne, Victor, there was
Katia,
and Manuel, Sonia and Morris, of course.
So there's people still teaching nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it. But it was next to amazing dancers.
Like Junior and Emily.
Yeah.
And
By the way,
teams.
Junior and Emily, I don't think the new generation knows them, or at least in Canada, but look at them, guys.
yeah, it's amazing.
they're insane.
So that's the World Salsa Championship. It was created by Alba Torres and the Salsa 7. So it was very renowned competition. The head judge was Billy Fajardo as well.
And
So
guys, there
super
was
serious.
only 4
categories
that we call it. Like nowadays, we have
So
tons
many.
and tons. On 1, on 2, cabaret, and groups.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
it's because it's very salsa oriented again. So next one.
Yeah, then the famous one, the one that you participated with David, World Latin Dance Cup
World
in
Latin Dance Cup
2010
by Albert Torres.
by Albert Torres, exactly. And I think this one, everybody went in love with this one because it included amateurs for the first time,
So
I think.
it was inclusive to amateurs and also other Latin dances. I think that's what is important about this one, right?
Yes. We saw cha-cha-cha, bachata for the
Cumbia.
first time, cumbia.
Sí,
It's
yeah.
true.
Sí.
And later on, they add also the Colombian style. I think.
Yes, I think maybe they had their own category because it was very
so.
like specific.
Yeah, especially in the groups, we were seeing a lot of Colombians for the
Yes.
first time competing.
Yeah,
As
actually,
a-
because of
amazing.
that
Big
competition,
tricks.
I got to learn about the Colombian style.
Ah, the Cali style.
Yeah,
Oh,
because of that
nice.
competition. Before we didn't really know about it in
Okay.
Mexico, even in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you competed with David in 2011.
I think so. I don't know the date, but
Yeah,
I guess
around
it's
that
So we
time.
can put the video there.
The first
And
competition.
how did you felt this in the World Latin Dance Cup for the first time?
I think that was the I don't remember which costume. It was a red costume, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you did once like with the red.
We didn't win that year, and we worked so hard. Honestly, I think even harder than the next years. But we were still learning how to dance with each other. So that's a big thing. Like we need to have a connection with your partner. But I was very, very nervous because I got to be against my favorite dancers, Oliver and Luda.
Yes.
So for me, I was like, oh my God, finally. Like you've been competing for years and you want to beat the world champions. They were always the world champions.
Yeah.
And we didn't specify it, but they were world champion at the World Salsa Championship for at least 2 years. I don't know how many years, but they were always
Oliver
on
and
top,
Luda
on
were
two categories.
top for many years. And then you guys came, and Anya and Luis came too at the
Luis.
same division. It was on two, right?
On two.
So it was crazy, guys.
Was good television.
Yes.
It was nice. Honestly, I love that experience. It was amazing. My mom was there. My sister was there also. So I was more
So cool.
excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to be against them, for me, it was the best experience.
Awesome. And then if we continue with the story of championships, we had the World Latin Summit.
Yes, this one is also very interesting because after the World Latin Dance Cup, eventually it stopped in 2016. Let's say the first version of the World Latin Dance Cup stopped because it was created by Albert Torres and kind of ended a bit after, unfortunately, the decease of
The past
of Albert Torres. A bit like at the same time as the World Latin Dance Cup was doing their last years, the World Salsa Summit appeared, and that one was created by Katie and Billy Fajardo. This competition was created in 2015, and the last one was in 2021. So this one was also in the US. We didn't mention it, but the other ones were hosted in United States as well. So every competition that we name were hosted in the United States.
We're not in the Latin America yet, because the main one started in
United
in
States.
the US.
Those one at least. So World Latin Summit 2015, we have a lot of dancers from Montreal that actually participated in that specific one. Ame and I had the chance also to attend as a audience, like just watching the shows and
feel the vibe and
cheering for our friends.
Yes.
Because we had a lot of Mexican friends participating from Alma Latina.
Alma Latina.
So we were like watching them and cheering. Super fun competition.
And you were there too, but you were as a judge.
You competed once, right? I think I saw one competition
No,
or perform.
with Billy, I competed like 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
or
I remember
even
David was
4.
there.
Yeah.
So you were probably there too.
We did compete like 3 or 4. One year I got injured. Just at the semifinal. I passed the semifinal, and at night I got injured, so I
You
couldn't do the final.
Was it the costume, the beige costume?
It was the
with
beige costume.
the leg. I love that costume.
That one, we never did it at that competition.
Oh wow!
But so eventually World Salsa Summit, I think Katie became the sole owner of the World Latin Summit, and Billy Fajardo launched the Summit Championship in 2022. So the last, it can be confusing, I think, because they both use the Summit title, but it's not the actual same competition. So Billy Fajardo launched the Summit Championship, and that's actually the one where we saw Jaime and Sasha competing in 2023, I think. So people from Montreal went to that one specifically.
So basically, a lot of people from Montreal competed in every single championship, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, like I think Edson said, I think people in Montreal likes to compete.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, we were talking about I don't know with who, but in Toronto, people like to social dance more, I
Yes.
think. But here in Montreal, we find more people that they like the challenge of the stage. So I don't know why, but for some reason, if you go to a social, we'll find more people in Toronto than in Montreal. So I think it's because there's a lot of teachers that do shows in
Yeah.
Montreal.
And we're focused on
We're focused on
competition
that.
too, because we also have Victor and Corinne that also did the World Salsa Summit and eventually the summit. So
Like
Yeah, they set examples.
Exactly. Like if you go back since Marie Jose and Roberto, Victor and Katia, and Sonia also as well. They all give that standard of competing. So maybe it came from that.
It influenced.
and then we got you and David eventually.
Yes.
So it was like, okay,
And
let's keep
now
up.
the new ones,
The
of
new
course,
generation.
Yeah.
With
We have
Sasha and
Adriano,
Jaime and
Adriano
Adriano
and
and
Samantha.
Samantha.
Actually, the World Salsa Summit, I think that's the one that they won like 3-4 times, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely set the example for students to be like, oh, that's cool. I really want to be a champion. And we didn't talk about duo because there's also like, I think, solo champions and duo champions that are from Montreal that won at the World Salsa Summit. So honestly, like, I think that one for Montreal was a very special one.
Yes. A lot of people from Montreal competing in different divisions, and that's where we started seeing lots of division, amateur, semi-pro, and also like professional, cabaret,
Rising Star.
bachata, rising
Rising
stars, and
That's when it started to develop a little bit to, like be more inclusive. To different levels of dances, different types. So that brings us, so this one is still existing. Well, the Summit Championship still exists, and I think the one in 2025 will be like held very soon. But then we go to Mexico.
So in Mexico we have tons of competition, but like you said, they were national, but there's one that became the international one. It's really, really renowned nowadays. It's Eurozone Latino.
Eurozone Latino. Actually, in Mexico, we have 3 big competitions. One is Fusion in Mexico City. One is in Oaxaca, in the city of Oaxaca. And the third one is the world one. It's Eurozone Latino.
And you had the chance to compete?
I had the chance to compete there on the first and the second edition, if I'm not wrong. Maybe on the third one too. Bad memory. But it wasn't a world competition yet. It was a national. And now I've been judging for the Eurozone. It's been, I think, like 5 years or 6.
So you go every year?
I've been going the last 2 years. And also I was there on the pandemic online. I was judging online.
Amazing.
And I think the year before. Yes. So I'm very happy because finally, like a lot of... It's hard for the Latin people to travel to United States with the visa problem. So that opened a lot of opportunities for South America.
Yes.
Right? So
because Eurozone Latino, it was in Morelia first?
it was in Puebla.
Puebla, sorry. So Eurozone Latino was in Puebla first, and then it moved to Cancun.
And now it's back to Puebla.
Oh, it's back
This
to
year.
Puebla this year?
Oh, interesting.
Nice. Okay, so they have to make sure that the hotel is so big because there's so many people that go there.
Yeah, it's a big.
It's really nice Congress, honestly.
I know that Victor and
Competition.
Corinne competed there before the pandemic, and there's now
Sasha and
and Jaime
also,
also competed in-
Alliance.
Alliance competed there too. So many more teams are going to compete probably
It-
this year.
It's very interesting. Like, as you mentioned, the other ones that we mentioned are in the United States. So for World Championship, of course, if there is visa problems, it kind of limit a little bit of who can actually attend. So this one is my personal favorite too because like it's more inclusive on that matter, like people from Colombia, from Mexico,
From Peru.
from Peru.
Peru.
Argentina, we saw a lot
Argentina.
of people from Argentina.
Guatemalans.
So there's so
Spain.
much diversity.
Spain.
It's very interesting to see.
A lot of Italian people.
Yes, Italian people too. And, I know that just before the pandemic, it was so hard to get the visa in the US. So that stopped so many artists to go to the summit, to the other competition. And Autoson, I think it gives the opportunity to,
compete
so
against
many people.
different countries, which is that's what we want for an international competition, definitely. So it pretty much ends up with that. We did mention the World Latin Dance Cup 2.0 because it still exists, but it's in Colombia. So also again a little bit like the other one that moved to Argentina. It became a little bit more local, but it's still there, and it's still a world.
It's also a very nice.
It's a World Latin Dance Cup.
It's
right?
a World Latin Dance Cup. Still good level, like I see on a lot of videos, and they have an amazing production also. It's very,
I saw the
very
videos
nice.
and the design, the branding is very nice.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll put in some logos and snippets for the audience to see.
And I know we haven't mentioned all of the championships because there was one in Italy that ran for 2-3 years.
Yes, if I'm not wrong, it was 2-3 years, and then they stopped. But it was one of the big competitions as well.
And maybe there's other ones too that we didn't name, but since from our perspective here in Montreal and this scene, we didn't really see that much people going over there. We're more in North America, of course.
Yeah.
We didn't dig a little bit more, but eventually, if you wanna know a little bit more about those competition, comment below and we can do a special episode about that.
So we're really lucky to have you because now we want to talk about the judging system. And you have been a judge for how many years?
It's at least 10 years, more than 10 years, I guess.
Okay, awesome. And you judge not only in salsa, but you judge also in bachata.
I judge salsa, bachata. A couple times I had to judge in Mexico, the bailes de salón.
Nice.
But mostly in the big competitions is salsa, bachata.
Awesome.
Yes.
And you cover everything, couples, ladies.
Yes.
and
Every category is pretty
groups.
much.
Could be junior, could be over 40, over 50 ladies, teams, same gender, couples.
Yeah, so we did mention a few categories, but in general, I think the core of a competition, if it's smaller, maybe locally or even in the world, what we see often is the salsa on 1, salsa on 2, bachata, there's only on 1.
They also add kizomba in a few
Kizomba.
Yes, true. They added kizomba as well now. It's more popular. We have salsa cabaret, bachata cabaret, so with the tricks, the lifts. We have couple small groups, couple bigger groups, solo, duo. We have shine teams, and we have so many new ones that are starting to grow, like over 40, like you mentioned, over 50, junior, etc., etc.
And the queer competitions
Yeah,
are
that was
getting more.
The new one, yeah.
The competitions are getting more and more inclusive. So that means that it gets bigger and bigger. So it's not only like the nighttime as it used to be, from 7 to 10. Now it's from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Literally.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, the competitions are really want to include all the people and do it in different categories. So that's new, only from...
Also, the level of the dancer changed.
Okay.
Because before we only had professional. Well, before we had open level. We didn't know what level it was.
But the professional were competing on that level, right?
And then after they say, okay, professional and amateur. Good.
Okay.
And now they say, okay, who is professional who is amateur? Oh, we don't know. So let's say, okay, we can divide the amateurs in the people that is younger and older. Okay, perfect. Then the genders, we decide to divide the genders. And then now the new one is not yet in Canada, but I think they should, is the alumnos. Students.
Yeah.
Yes, in
So
Eurozone we saw alumno category.
So alumnos, to clarify, because here we only have amateur.
Amateur.
So amateur could be anyone, any level, but as long as they don't get money for dance.
They could teach they could get money, but they don't dedicate their life 100% to dancing.
Okay.
It's not their first source of income.
Exactly.
And yeah.
But they could still do it.
So they can be high-level dancers.
They can be
still.
high-level dancer, amateur.
Okay.
In
And-
the competition of Canada. Only in Mexico, no.
And alumnos, what's the difference with
Alumnos is the one that takes classes. They never earn money with dancing. And that's what
very
I feel
interesting.
we should have that
Oh, yeah.
category in
Interesting.
fidelity.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's funny that too, now that we're saying that, the categories are not the same in Canada and in Mexico. So you might have to change your category in each competition.
Okay.
Because they have different rules. It's
Different
like the
rules.
summit we had the Rising Star, and I think Rising Star was like for amateurs with a higher level that wanted to become pro or something like that.
Exactly.
Like
So,
semi-pro?
Semi-pro, they call
Semi-pro.
it, which is also a big scandal, if you can say that, because some teacher told me, how can you be a semi-pro if you will be a good amateur dancer, very advanced, but not like it's like you want to go to a doctor is semi-doctor. No.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah, the words are very important, I think. The
Yeah, and we
vocabulary.
hear less and less. Semi-pro used to be really popular back in
And it stopped. Maybe it's because of that.
2015, 2016, yeah.
Yeah,
But then it stopped. And then we
Racing
heard,
star.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we heard Rising Star, which is pretty much the same.
It can be the same type of person competing on those categories. Yes. Yeah. But the important thing is that, yes, we are creating more levels. We
Yes.
want to create more levels. That's what's happening. But the system stay the same. This judgment system is pretty much the same through the years. Yes, it got better. I think
With
it got the
technology, the technology
included.
part.
Wow, that changed a lot because we used to like hand paper and run, and then we don't understand exactly the numbers because
Yes.
we're running. Somebody get the papers and go and do the
Yeah.
Yes.
calculations. And, oh my god!
Yeah, I
and
can
now
take time.
enter.
It reminds me the old time when we used to compete. Rania, which is now one of the coordinators in the competitions here, she used to run and take all the little papers and bring it to
Whoever
Katie
needed to,
or
do the count. Yeah.
exactly, and then count it with a calculator. So that was before. Now everything is on iPads, on computers.
Yeah, iPads, computers, and
Yeah, I think
just-
someone created an application, like an app to, make it work. And I think
We've seen a few apps. One of them is Podium System. So
yeah, made in Mexico.
that
And there's another one made in Canada also from
Awesome.
Eric.
Yes,
Eric
it's true.
Kelly.
Yeah, Eric and Kelly.
Yes.
Yes.
That's amazing. It's just everything is more technologic and it gets
It's
better
growth.
and better.
So we have a few criterias that we know. It's usually used on those judgment sheet.
But it changed from competition.
Yeah,
to
depending of which
competition.
competition, it's really similar. But I think the words change. Maybe you can tell us a bit.
It's actually very it's almost the same. What changes the percentage
Okay.
of
Yeah, the value
the
of
value,
each
yeah.
criteria.
so some competition has 20% in tempo and some others say 30 or some others say 15
Like tempo, timing.
timings. Yes, so because we have the criteria of musicality, expression, showmanship, timing, technique,
Difficulty.
connection.
Yeah, there's creativity, the choreo, the coordination, interaction with the partners. When there's solo, there's one I really like from Fusión. It's called Proyección Escénica.
Projection.
It's called, well, here we could translate it in stage presence.
I would say showmanship.
Showmanship?
Yeah, showmanship. So like being there and entertain the public. And I think the only one that we didn't name yet is complexity.
Yeah,
so the
difficulty.
difficulty of the
Difficulty.
choreo.
Yeah.
The technique, I think you named it,
mentioned
musicality, everything goes.
Everything is goes, but and that's another thing that changed. Through the years, I had the experience of judging per subject.
Okay.
So I was just sitting there to judge or technique or musicality. or maybe two.
Oh, that's
two things.
interesting.
Or also I had the experience of saying different judges of different styles.
Uh-huh.
So there was a judge of ballroom, there was a judge of ballet, there was a judge of salsa, and everybody had a different perspective.
Okay.
And nowadays we mostly do all the
criterias.
The criterias, yes. But it's been changing that too. So I think they're finding the most fair way to judge.
I remember in competitions that we used to do, they removed the highest and the lowest.
I was thinking about that too.
That
Does
too.
it?
Yeah.
We don't do that
So
anymore, right?
you have the average, but without the highest and without the lowest score.
It happened a couple times when I was there, and also had to be with the number of judges.
Okay.
So I don't remember how it works, but it was like more than 10. That's when it applied.
Okay.
If
So let's say a final of on two.
Uh-huh.
You have like a panel of 15 judges.
Yes.
Now at that time, we could do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
And what's the average of judges in a panel nowadays?
Nowadays, I would say like 7. Because
In a world competition.
in a world competition, you don't want to have pares. You want to make sure they on number.
Odd number.
Odd number. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so I think we covered our basics. So I think the audience know good enough, to move
much
forward.
information.
There's a lot of information, and there's more information that we didn't cover, of course. But I think we covered what is necessary to exchange on a few question that we want your opinion. So let's go
start.
ahead. You can start, Ame.
So in order to compete, you need training. So that's what we want to talk about first, is about training, because we definitely saw you train for so many hours, and you were an inspiration for us in order for us to compete. Yeah. It's like, okay, if you want to compete, we need to train that much.
Training and practice is different.
Yes.
Also, I think that's when, and you mentioned it actually earlier without even noticing, but there's a difference between practicing your choreo with your partner and training on the side on yourself. So maybe to explain everything for the people that might want to compete, since we're in Montreal and people like to compete, like for you and
any tips
you want to compete, you don't know where you're coming. No, honestly, I think with the years we learned that competition and show, it cannot be the same. It cannot be the same because it will involve more time, personal time, but also psychologically you need to be prepared. You cannot just train physically. You have to be committed 100% in your mind. It is not easy because you will fight with it over and over. And that was the first detail, the first point. You need to be mentally prepared for competition. The second detail I would say is you have to train by yourself. Even if you're competing in a couple, you need to make sure you're training your flexibility, your cardio, and your endurance. I was training in ballet still at that time. I still trained a little bit, not too much.
Yeah, because we used to go to Divertimento with
Divertimento.
Renault. At that time, I remember.
And also, I used to go to the gym to run. I never been a weights person, but I was doing the basics, like push-ups and stuff like that. I also train in gymnastics in Mexico.
Yeah.
So that will help me with the strength.
And the core, right? Because you used to do lifts with David.
Yes.
And then you switch to more tricks, but still you need to train those muscles.
Muscle and the afraidness of getting to the air, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that was basic. That was my personal training. And then my practice with my partner, we used to have, we got a system where we got to create the choreography, and then okay, we need to create a choreo. We need to train in the timing, the tempo. We need to train for the showmanship, the expression, the connection. And after that, we got to do repetitions of the choreography, to get cardio, to be able to finish the choreo and smile, not and then put everything together. So we were assigning hours just for a specific subjects to complete the choreography.
Based on the criterias of
Based on the
competition.
criterias, yeah. Plus, we always have to do a research of where are we going, which competition, who is judging.
Does the
Who is
judge panel change the way you train and practice?
We used to, not completely will change it, but it will add
Influence.
influence. So we say, okay, well, there is a judge that loves spins. You have to put spins, right? So it will influence our final show.
Nice.
But yeah.
And did you train also with other people? Example, to see your choreography, even though you're professional.
Yeah, for sure. I forgot to mention that, but that's another part. We need to get coaching for that, and we used to get coaching. This was my idea, and I think it worked. But I always got coaching from ballet teacher. I got coaching from a ballroom teacher. I got coaching from a salsa dancer. And also I was always asking the general public. I will have a good friend, Gerardo Ramirez, a Mexican DJ. I would love him because he was a dancer too, but he will also get the perspective of the general public and my family, of course, the family. It was every opinion was so important just to understand how they perceived, how they react. But if we wouldn't get the coaching, we were not able to perform or to compete without the coaching. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And for you, the shows, because you used to do the same show in a competition, or you changed, it was differences, or how did you manage to do a show and a competition?
We changed the choreographies.
Okay.
For competition, we went with the rules. Like when we were on the on 2 division, we could not do lifts and more than 3 tricks. So we will have to stay on the floor and make it more simple in a way. Versus show, we will add movements and get a bit more crazy, play more with the costume sometimes.
Okay.
So we will actually change the color of things. So it was very, very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Because sometimes even people change not the song, but the cut of the song, because sometimes in competition you have like the 2-minute rule or 2 minutes 15, and sometimes you want to do like an intro or something on the same dance.
Yes.
While you have your cut for show and you have your cut for competition.
For competition.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And you talk a little bit about how important is the mental preparation.
The mindset, yeah.
Mindset.
Have you ever had like a mental coach or like
No.
because nowadays we see a lot more
At
of
the Olympics, you said, right?
at the Olympics, more and more athletes got a mental coach, to prepare for the stress and the anxiety. And I think we should get this too.
I think it's very important. Yeah, it wasn't easy, definitely, especially because I was traveling and I was by myself most of the time, so it wasn't easy. But I think the determination, once you commit to something, you just say, okay, I will get there. That's it. That's the mental. But definitely it would be easier if you have somebody helping you for that. Honestly, if I'd never had any...
Come on, breakdown? Come on.
If I have never had a breakdown, it wouldn't be working right now, because that actually, it makes you go down, but then you go higher
It's
up.
hard to go up.
Yeah. So it was thanks to those breakdowns that I think that I got to be better and better. It's
Of
crazy,
course.
right?
Yeah, and we talk about, the physical, the mental, but there's also the health. You need to eat well, drink a lot of water. And that sometimes we forget as dancers because we go to congresses and we train, and sometimes we forget
or drink
to have or sleep, huh? Sleep is important.
Sleep is important because if you compete, it means that you might also perform. It means that you might also give workshops or take workshops, and during those congresses or festivals. So the sleep, the hydration, it can be forgotten. And I think it's if your mindset for a competition, I remember you were acting differently. Like you are in a competition mode. Yes. You're more careful what you eat. You don't eat junk food at 3 a.m. with people. It's such a different mindset, and I like that we go on that subject because sometimes there's like I've seen that, and even us, I think we did it before. Sometimes when we have more like amateur teams, and we have a performance ready, like a show ready. Sometimes they want to perform. They want to compete as well. So that happen often, and like it's so different when the team wants to compete. It's not the same mindset. So you really need to switch the mindset of the whole team to be ready to compete because it's not the same to have this mindset of performance, which is more like an experience for fun. Then now we're talking about competing that adds more, seriousness and more like the mindset, the health.
Yeah. For example, let's say we bring our team to Miami to compete. There's no beach, guys.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There's no tanning. After the competition, yes, but it's just you go to the hotel and you train, you eat well, you drink water, you sleep, you train more and train and train and train.
Yeah.
So there's a focus compared to when you go to a congress.
When one experience we had, I want to share too, is that when we used to be at the world competition with David Cepeda.
Yes.
We would say, okay, we are going to arrive 1 week in advance.
Okay.
Just to feel the environment, just to feel on the city. And then we will train there, and we will, when the stage was ready, we would wake up at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning where nobody's supposed to be there, so we can get into
the stage.
Step into the stage and feel, okay, we're on the stage. So nobody could see us and we can be and feel there.
Wow, that's dedication.
That's a good tip too.
Yeah.
Because, you're very immersed yourself in that moment. You're projecting.
It worked, but the last years, it's funny because then people used to train and until 5, 6 in the morning.
Yes.
That's fine.
They would start at 12 and train at night, and
yes.
And there was still people there. So I'm like, okay.
Wow.
I remember when we used to go to Alma Latina, they used to train. They started training at midnight.
Yes.
Yeah, during the social.
No social, guys.
Yes,
Training.
exactly.
Because it was competition the next morning. So until 2, 3 a.m. and then sleep a bit and then get ready super early because, we have to
hair.
get ready by 8 a.m.
So it's a different experience.
Yeah.
If you're competing, definitely.
And after a competition, because we always talk about the before, and the during is really nice, and
The during is not always nice.
not always, but it's a good experience, and
It's
you
thrilling,
either win
I think.
or not. But what about the after? We don't talk about the after, the recovery of that, those
true.
big emotions. How the body, because we felt it as well. How do you recover?
Well, honestly, after the competition, we will always go and eat whatever.
Whatever you want.
Congratulations. Like, okay, the big hamburger, huge tacos. And
Tacos. I love it.
that was like our first thing. Like, okay, let's go and enjoy. But then, we will make sure we will have time for ourselves. Go see our friends. Go see family. Because we were so immersed into that.
Yeah.
That we really never had time for ourselves. That's one thing that I learned when I stopped competing. It's so funny that I was telling my husband, Adam, that I don't know how to be with friends. People don't understand that, but I never went to get a coffee and sit down and talk. it was so weird for me. People were like, what do? I just sit and talk. I just stare, and after 10 minutes I was like, okay, I need to move. Like I didn't have that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So it was so weird for me after competition to get my time for myself, to be with family. Yeah, because it's different, but with friends it was special.
And friendship you made especially around the same context. So in competition modes and
Exactly.
training and people with the same mindset as you. So it's a different type of friendship, I think, when you
Correct.
stop like doing that. It's different. We have friends outside of the dancing, of course.
And we don't see as much.
And we have friends in the dance scene. It's very different. It's true.
Yes.
But, yeah, good
It's
point.
true that, your life is so focused on dancing. And when you're competing, it's bigger.
It's
even more. Sometimes you don't see your boyfriend, husband, because, your partner is not. It's just
You
more.
see your partner.
More time, yes, and your parents,
Here, bye.
yeah. But it's totally worth it. And then what I wanted to talk about is more like the after, with how do you recover with the blues? Let's call it like this.
Okay, like nostalgia, maybe,
Like,
almost.
when you compete, and then you have
it's
like,
so high.
yeah.
So you get after that, it's like it's so low,
Yeah.
and you're
You're
like
a
you don't maybe
person.
don't have a goal anymore. Maybe.
Oh, okay,
Like-
okay. You don't have any other, yeah. Honestly, every time I finish a competition, I start a new one.
Okay.
That's the thing. I think like Paulina is like not a good example for that question because she never stopped.
I stopped when I got to, I stopped when I stopped dancing with David. But then I was always like, okay, I need to do something. I need to do something. I couldn't. I needed some
Other projects.
other projects.
And you learn also new dances. Well, I know you already danced tango before, but now you're more like you're more into like tango. And now in Montreal, you're teaching tango,
Yes.
and we can see that you never stop. Like you started right away something new. and
I
you're, like,
needed
amazing.
something. Yeah.
So as soon as you finish a choreo, you start choreographing the next one.
Yeah, I'm thinking what's next because I love doing this. I love dancing. I love teaching, and I just need new experiences for myself. And now with my students also, I can include them. So yeah, I stopped, but yeah, I always, for me, that's my recovery. Start planning for what's next.
Interesting. So you take some time for you, but then, okay, what's next?
Yes.
What's the next challenge?
What's the next challenge?
And you mentioned you stopped competing when you stopped dancing with David, but maybe a weird question, but when being a champion is enough? When you won like 6 times the world championship, like after the 6th time, you were like, okay, 6 was a good number. I stopped. Like I think there's a lot of it happens often where there's champions and they stay like the top, and it's the couple that you want to beat, like Oliver Pineda and Luda.
Yes.
That was for you, and at some point. Like, or they retire, or like at the end of the day they stop being champions, right? Because they make place for the next champions. Like, when do you think, maybe it's very personal, but how many championships you need to achieve to feel like, okay, I'm champion?
Well, I just want to add something. We never got to beat Oliver and Luda.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but I was happy anyways. When is enough? I think we did the most that we could as a couple. We experienced so many years and we achieved many things together that we said for ourselves, okay, we're tired, we need a break.
Okay.
And also people start telling us, I think it's enough, guys. You won many years. You should let people win.
Interesting. Well, that's why I'm asking the question. I think some people are like, I want to have my opportunity too, right? After a while.
And also being realistic, we see the new generations coming and we're like, okay, even if we do very well next year, maybe these kids, they're gonna do better than us.
It's true.
So
And thanks for mentioning it, because I
Yeah.
think you need to be very like humble to
Humble.
mention. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of new couples that are very strong.
yeah, and again, competition is that moment on the stage. So even if you're so good, but if you slide, you can lose the competition. So I think it's better to go when you're still okay and you feel that was the max.
And for you going into judging, how do you feel about that?
It was so exciting.
Yeah.
I was starting to judge when I was competing.
Yeah.
But honestly, just being and have, it's not a power, is that I don't know, is
The high.
the high, yeah, because from you depends all the work of the people that it's been putting for months, right? So you are like, okay, I need to do my job correctly. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of work and
Yeah, because
power on
people
me.
actually pay fees to get in
Yes.
that division, and they get the sheet right after. We used to have comments,
Yes,
when we
not
had the
everybody
papers,
must be happy about it, but
but it's valuable.
It's
What you
valuable.
write,
Yes.
10 out of 15, it's valuable because it's gonna help you to get better on your next competition.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So honestly, it's been an honor for me to be part of a judging panel, especially at the World. Very nervous the first times, of course. But I think because I was part of a competitor side, it gives me an extra value, right? So because I understand how hard it is to be there.
Yeah.
I hope I can still be doing this. I love it. I just think it's good that people understand also
Yeah,
how hard
totally.
it is to be a
Oh,
judge.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot of competitions, and I want to do the difference. I want to make the difference with before, when we used to have like competitions, you needed to qualify on those. And every city there was like a qualification, eliminatorias,
Background.
in order to go to the big competition. We don't really see that nowadays. Nowadays, we see, okay, you want to compete? You can compete, you pay your fee, and then you can go on the categories that you want.
Like I think if it's a category where there's a lot of entry, I think they still have like the qualification round. But if it's a category that have like maybe 10 or something, it's directly to the
Yeah, it's
the
it
category.
goes
I think
like that.
Eurozone still does eliminatorias because we have
Yes.
one here in Montreal.
Exactly.
The Montreal Bachata Festival is the eliminatorias, the qualifications actually for the Eurozone. But yeah,
But in general, what happened is they do have the qualifications.
okay.
However, if in your country they don't have that brand name, you have to go directly into the big competition.
Okay.
You can arrive, and if there's not many competitors, then you are already on the final.
Okay. Yeah, because if you arrive earlier, let's say it start on a Friday, you arrive Thursday is qualification for the people that couldn't qualify in their
Local, exactly.
country. Okay, makes sense. It would make sense because it's been a while we don't like actually attend world
Yeah, it's been a while.
competition, so we want to clarify that.
What's happening, Joe, is that since there's so many categories, most of the time there's 2 or 3 competitors in each category.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we are starting to have this situation where you compete and you get first, second, and third place
Exactly.
because there was only 3. So one solution they've been doing, and that was in the World Latin Dance Cup in Colombia, which I found it was very good solution, is depending of the score. If you get 70s, you get, I don't remember exactly, but let's say if you get 70, you cannot get any first, second, or third place, even if you are 3 couples.
Interesting. Because
Wow.
I did notice, we did notice that, and I'm glad you brought that subject because I think it can be a bit sensitive.
Yes.
We have an ecosystem where the competition got bigger. So yes, we love the inclusion and the creation of those categories
Yes.
because it allowed people that weren't maybe willing to do the competition, let's say over 40, over 50, what, like so many, like
I mean, even the kids.
yeah,
The
juniors.
junior.
I think it gives the experience, the
Yes.
opportunity to live that experience to especially amateurs. But that creates this situation where I think that's one of the reasons why competition can be very long is that you have the same, like you have a lot of categories. Sometimes people do several
advantage.
categories too. I think that's something that we noticed.
Yes.
And yes, since there's not a lot of people in one category, people end up being in the podium, even though it's like second position on because there was two couple. And I remember in my time we were doing pro am. There were so many people in the pro-am category, and boys and girls were mixed also.
Yes.
So if you were an am guy, you were against like
Them.
an am girl, and it was like 15%. So we have like
Yeah.
semifinals before finals, so we had to do the choreo twice, and you had to do it perfectly both times because if they saw it perfectly in the semifinal, they know.
Yes.
Yeah. And at that time, I remember you used to change costumes.
Yeah,
because
we used to change costume for semifinal
Semifinal.
versus
Strategy.
finals.
Yeah.
So I just feel like there was something more like, I don't know, even though I was it felt more like serious. I don't know, it felt more like I'm against 20 people. It feels more like gratifiant, let's say.
Gratitude.
And it's very personal. I just feel like I'm very I'm very happy to have lived that experience. And sometimes I see competition now, and maybe it's because I've been discussing it with people that are competing nowadays. And like, yes, of course they're happy they won like second position, but for example, if they finished second and there was only two competitors, they're not as happy, of course, because it's
No.
different. Just and
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Like,
Me, it may happen to me, and not just I don't want to be mean, but I admire dancers. So whenever my favorite dancers were not there to compete, I felt like, okay, I won this competition, for example, but I didn't win against my favorite dancers. So it was important, but it wasn't the same. So it could happen either way, where there's a number of competitors or a quality of dancers.
Quality, I think it's important
Yes.
because some dancers choose their competition.
Yes.
Where they want to compete. I want to compete on that one, so everybody goes on that one, and then the other one doesn't have the same quality. And then if I put myself as not competitor, but now as a a spectator.
yeah.
It's different now.
Yeah.
Because you said it's the competition nowadays, it's long. Now on the other side, and I'm like, it looked fun.
Yeah, it's
before.
fun doing the competition,
Yeah.
but does the audience enjoy it as much as the competitors? Maybe I feel maybe less because it's so long, and I think personally again, what distracts me the most is when it's the same choreo, the same costume, like in different categories, one after the other. I think
Yes.
that's the one that I don't know, like we just saw it, or even when you do it as a group.
Yes.
The choreo, song, costume, and then you see a couple do it. Like we're really like talking about sensitive stuff, and again, like I encourage like everyone competing because it's so
It is
nice.
good.
It's not about the competitors. It's not even about the organizer. It's just like something happened that's how the competition is right now. So
It
I'm wondering,
changed.
I'm wondering like, do we want to keep it as it is? Colombia changed a little bit to make it maybe more fair because
More
it's
fair.
true, like to
And if we compare, let's say, with ballroom, because ballroom, they also have lots of
Lots of
division.
categories. Yeah.
Do you think we do it well, or what do you think?
I think ballroom has more standards according to the level of dancer.
Okay.
So, and also they have more divisions. So,
Imagine they have more division than us.
but also they have more qualifications too.
Okay.
That's what I know. I'm not very into ballroom details, but more qualifications compared to us. So
But-
maybe that's what could be add to us.
But it's I think the important difference is that there's versatility because there's so many like divisions.
Yes.
They have styles. Let's say samba versus
Rumba, cha-cha-cha.
Exactly. They have like different choreos. I don't even know if it's actual choreos or like freestyle, but you know they're competing and it's different. And I think on that matter, it doesn't impact the audience anymore because it's always different, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the only part where we need to still find a solution.
Yeah, because we have so many good competitions, let's say in Montreal, and we have good dancers.
Good
we talk
dancers.
about Montreal being a competitive scene, but unfortunately, we don't see as much people looking at those competitions.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
we need to
that's-
find a way to attract the public.
Attract the
Yes.
audience.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Attract the
Yeah, it's-
audience because we invited
They-
our friends.
They deserve to have a good audience. I think in competition to have the hype, you know, to perform in front of people, not only the judge panel, it's different.
I remember
Yes.
before when we used to compete, people get there with the
Oh yeah, I love
posters,
that.
la
See
panca-
those
así, la
posters,
pancartas.
and it was
and
so
matracas,
like,
la matracas.
yeah, in Mexico they're crazy. They're
And that gave us so much energy, you know, like that hype. And that, I miss that.
it's an experience itself.
Now that I'm a spectator and I just see just a few people and I'm like, where are you guys? You know?
Exactly.
I would love to, for the next generation, to have that kind of energy from the
Go and
public.
support.
Yes.
Yes.
Maracas, lo más importante.
But yeah, I think the public needs to do an effort, but I think also the way the competitions are
Yeah,
held.
the system. Yeah, maybe find something. I mean, like we don't have the answer. We really don't have the answer, and I think even like yourself, you
Yeah.
thought about it a few times. And as a judge, I mean, you listen to the same song several times also, so it can be like also.
It's hard also. Well, and it's a disadvantage point also because we can compare what we saw and like
Yes.
2-3 times. I'm like, okay,
I
this time you did
remember-
it better. No, the other one better.
Yeah. And I remember there's a few years that a song is very, very popular. So you hear it like many times. And I remember you saying, La Lupita, I can't do it, La Lupita.
Pinche Lupita.
I did Lupita, and then I don't know if it was after me, but everybody.
Yeah, it
Everybody.
was
Lupita,
a
Lupita.
trend.
Lupita.
Lupita was a trend, and
Yeah.
it's true. Even we can hear it in bachata, like there's some bachata
Yeah.
songs like we
Now it's like Danny J, and then it's Aventura. It
Romeo.
This
changes.
trend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, how do you do?
Yeah,
You know?
well, I think that was an experience. So now I make sure my songs are not too used. Well, I always did that with my couple.
Choreos.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
choreo,
true.
but
It's the creativity.
I like to add the weird stuff. Yeah, I now I did a bachata with Shakira.
Yeah.
That's true.
I just try crazy stuff.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yes.
So you encourage people to be creative and maybe be out of the box. That
Out of
can
the
be
box.
nice for judges.
Do you think judges like that?
At the beginning should not be accepted, I guess. But if somebody started, I guess it's gonna continue, right? So you have to push. That happened to me. That was an experience also. I was doing a trick, the hustle trick where you spin on your back.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that one. So I was not sure about doing it, and Ricardo Vega told me, it's like, do it. Like, if you don't do it, who else is gonna do it? I'm like, it's true. I just start doing crazy things, right, on the stage, and people
Like
get
it,
out
yeah.
of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
people
true.
will like it.
Oh, we saw it after a lot of performance that got
Yes.
influenced by that type of movement. Yeah. So to dare, finally, just to be
To dare
to
to
dare stuff.
be different,
And be unique.
be unique.
Love
which
it.
I think nowadays is also not like I see competitions and it's difficult to find a originality nowadays because I've been in the scene for 20 years,
Of
so
course,
it's
of
hard.
course.
It's hard. But anyways, that's another
People
subject.
can do it. Yeah, people
Yes.
can do it. I think it's good to hear someone experience to mention it so that they get, pumped by it.
Yeah, just go crazy. It's
Yeah.
okay. Que perezoso.
Exactly. So actually, it brings us to the final word that we always ask our guests.
So we want your wise words.
Oh no.
So we know we talk a lot about competitions, and we love to finish. To conclude with advices. So what better to have you to give advices for the new generation? Someone, example, that wants to start competing. What's your first advice?
First advice is I go find somebody that you trust, that you can relate to, that you can, if you need help for emotional support, for dance support, for physical support, you need to find somebody to be with you. It could be your dance couple, could be your personal partner, your love
coach.
partner, your coach, but you need to have somebody because alone you cannot do it. Second of all, you need to maybe rewind the video, and I think I gave out all the tricks that helped me a lot for training. You have to commit to that training and be realistic for what you're capable to do, because a lot of the times we say, yeah, I'm gonna do 10 hours a day, and you're not realistic. If you're not realistic, it's not gonna happen. You work, let's say if you work 8 hours a day, you only have an extra 3 hours a day, so that's gonna be your realistic time, but you have to commit to it. If that's not happening, you have to make it happen. So your life, it will change, your friend's life will change. So for me, it's, if you compete, you need to be realistic. That's the main.
And it's realistic
advice.
about the goals too. Let's say
Yes.
I want to start competition today, and I want to go to Eurozone next year.
Correct. Because
Is
if you
this
don't
realistic?
give a timeline, also it's and I don't know whenever happens. No, that is not gonna work.
So establish goals like short term and long term.
Short term and long term, but again, go with your level. Go with
Realistic.
capabilities. Yes, that's one of my biggest advice.
Perfect.
Yay, thank you so much.
And don't be hard on yourself.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
But we need to
Because
keep
the good
the
amount.
passion.
Yes.
Yeah, just be hard, but the passion, I think, is the first thing.
Correct.
To
Stay healthy in that relationship that you have with
Yeah,
dancing.
with-
I think.
At the
yourself.
end, it's a relation with you. So it's important that you are good with it. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think we can keep this discussion. We might do a part 2 because
Totally.
there's so many things to talk about.
Yeah.
But clearly, we discussed the things that we really wanted to showcase today. And thank you so much for your help. You teach us a lot of things before, and
thank
you
you.
keep teaching us.
Thank you for being here to give us all your educational and your
Yoda.
wise. Yeah.
No, not tanto.
Sí, Pau.
Gracias.
Well, if you guys want to contact Paulina for coaching, for private, if you want to be part of Las Bravas, where do we contact you?
You can text me Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp. All my information is in Paulina Posadas.
Yeah, we're going to put it down below on the comments.
Yes.
And that's it. You can be online or in person. or you can bring me to your city. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Totally.
Definitely. And for us, as always, we want your comment, your feedback. Maybe you want to suggest a few things.
Do you want Paulina back?
Yes.
Say it in the comments, and send us messages if you want to liberame.dance.
Thank you so much.
It was a
Gracias
pleasure.
a
We
ti.
love you.
Thank you so much. And bye. We see you next
Bye.
episode
And
next season.
Merry
maybe.
Christmas. Happy holidays.
Yeah, it's true. We were very
Bye.
Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Bye.